If you were born as an albatross, your story would begin in a place far from the chaos of human life, a lonely island surrounded by the endless pulse of the sea. The air would be sharp with salt, the cries of seabirds echoing across volcanic cliffs, and the wind would already whisper your destiny before you could even spread your wings. Your life begins in a nest built from grass, feathers, and bits of seaweed clinging to the rock. The world is all horizon, water, and sky. You do not yet know the meaning of flight, but the air that moves across your downy feathers is already calling you to a life few creatures can even imagine. For the albatross is born not for the land, but for the wind itself. Your parents are immense and graceful, wings stretching nearly 11 feet, gliding with a stillness that looks almost divine. They have crossed oceans for weeks to bring back food to this tiny nest, regurgitating rich, oily meals of squid and fish. You watch them through half-closed eyes, still weak, still learning to trust the trembling strength in your bones. The island is harsh, exposed, and battered by storms, but it is also the cradle of your kind. The sea around you is both your threat and your inheritance. Days pass, then weeks, and you grow stronger. You start to recognize the patterns of wind, the way it changes before the rain, the scent of the ocean that always carries a story. Your body begins to change, sleek feathers replacing soft down. You stretch your wings in the wind, feeling how it catches, how it lifts. You are not like the birds that flit through forests or perch on wires. You were built for distance, for the infinite open. When the sun sets and the sea glows with silver light, you watch the adults drifting effortlessly on invisible air currents, barely moving a muscle. You cannot imagine yet what it feels like to leave the land behind. One day, when you are ready, the moment comes. You step toward the cliff's edge, trembling, wind rushing up from below. The sea roars, clouds gather, and the horizon seems to widen, inviting you in. Then, you leap. For one breathtaking second, there is nothing but falling, your wings flapping awkwardly, then catching. The wind grabs you, steadies you, lifts you. Suddenly, you are no longer falling, you are flying. The ocean stretches in every direction, and you, once a helpless chick on a lonely island, now ride the breath of the earth itself. To survive as an albatross is to master the art of the wind. You do not flap your wings like smaller birds. That would waste too much energy. Instead, you learn the ancient craft of dynamic soaring, carving great arcs through the air, using the difference in wind speed between the waves and the sky to travel thousands of miles without a single beat. You dance between layers of air, gliding low over the ocean swells, then rising high with barely a tilt of your feathers. The wind becomes your invisible road, and with it, you can cross entire oceans without ever touching land. You follow the rhythm of the sea, reading the waves like words, feeling where the updrafts lift strongest. Storms no longer frighten you, they feed you. The same winds that would ground other creatures become your allies. Lightning flashes far away, the sky turns black, and you ride it, soaring on the shoulders of gales that would crush smaller wings. You do not fear the storm, you become part of it, and somewhere in the vast expanse of water, you find food, squid, fish, and drifting jellyfish, plucked from the surface with your long, sharp bill. You eat as you glide, rarely stopping, because to stop is to surrender to gravity. Your life becomes a continuous journey. For the albatross, the ocean is not a barrier, it is home. You cross from one hemisphere to another, tracing invisible loops that circle the planet. Months, even years, pass before you touch land again. You sleep while gliding, one half of your brain resting, while the other keeps you balanced. You are the perfect traveler, designed by nature to endure the longest flights of any bird alive. You may circle the world many times before ever seeing your birthplace again. But the life of an albatross is not only about freedom. It is also about endurance, a test of patience and resilience. The ocean can be generous, but it can also be merciless. There are times when the winds vanish and you find yourself gliding over a mirror-still sea. No lift beneath your wings, no prey in sight. The sun burns above, the salt dries on your feathers, and hunger grows like a shadow inside you. You wait. You glide low, searching for the faintest sign of a current, the shimmer of a fish, breaking the surface. Days can pass like this, and still you must keep moving, conserving energy, trusting that the ocean will give again. When finally the wind stirs and the waves rise once more, you climb again into the air, weightless and alive. The world below is wild and ever-changing. Whales breach, dolphins spiral through the surf, and far below, the dark shapes of sharks move in silence. But you belong to the realm above, to the sky where only wind and instinct guide you. Your wings are your survival, your freedom, and your prison all at once. Years pass. You learn the great highways of the planet, the roaring 40s, the furious 50s, bands of wind that circle the southern oceans with unstoppable force. Few creatures can survive there, but you thrive. You feel most alive in those screaming winds, when the world is all motion and noise, when rain lashes your feathers and you ride through it unbroken. You may travel over 120,000 kilometers a year, tracing the breath of storms, slipping between continents as if they were islands. And one day, instinct calls you back to land. It is time to breed. You have not touched solid ground in years, but somehow you know exactly where to go. Across thousands of miles of open water, guided by memory, magnetism, and the pull of the earth itself, you return to the same lonely island where you first hatched. There, among hundreds of other albatrosses, the air fills with calls and dances, long courtship rituals where partners mirror each other's movements with slow, deliberate grace. It is one of nature's most loyal bonds. Once you find your mate, you may remain together for decades, meeting again and again at the same nesting site, even if you spend years apart over the ocean. Building a nest is clumsy work. You shuffle across the grass and rocks, gathering bits of vegetation, mud, and feathers. You lay a single egg, your greatest treasure, and guard it through wind and rain. Incubation takes months, and both parents take turns, one flying off to sea to feed, while the other stays to keep the egg warm. Sometimes the feeding journeys stretch for weeks, and yet the returning bird always finds its mate, guided by the faint scent of the nest, the call of its partner, and the unerring sense of home that defines your species. When your chick finally hatches, the cycle begins anew. You feed it with care, regurgitating meals gathered from distant waters. The chick grows fast, covered in down, clumsy and demanding. You watch it grow strong, as you once did, and eventually, when the time comes, it too will face the edge of the cliff and leap into the wind. You will watch it disappear over the sea, knowing you might never see it again, but also knowing it will carry your story across the oceans. Yet survival for your kind has grown harder. The ocean, once boundless and pure, now hides dangers made by humans. Plastic drifting in the waves, hooks and lines from long-line fishing boats stretching like invisible traps. Many albatrosses die from swallowing plastic, mistaken for food, their bellies filled with fragments that they cannot digest. Others are caught on fishing lines, pulled beneath the waves before they even understand the danger. Oil spills, pollution, and warming seas are changing the patterns of wind and prey that have guided your kind for millennia. The world you were built for is shifting beneath your wings. Still, the albatross endures. You have seen centuries of storms, and your kind has crossed oceans long before ships or planes. You live longer than most birds, some up to 60 years, and in that time you may circle the globe dozens of times. The sea has always been your test and your teacher. You have learned to move with it, never against it, to find grace in hardship and peace in motion. You are a creature of patience, the embodiment of endurance itself. When the sun sets over the endless sea, your silhouette glides through crimson light, wings stretched wide, barely touching the air. Beneath you, the ocean moves like a living thing, silver and blue, endless and restless. Above, stars begin to appear, and you follow the constellations as your ancestors did. You are the keeper of the winds, the spirit of the far horizons. You do not belong to any one place, and that is your strength. You live where the world is widest, where the sky meets the sea, and the boundaries between them vanish. Sometimes, When ships cross your path, sailors look up and see you following them for days, floating just above the waves. They used to believe you were the souls of lost sailors, guiding them safely through storms. There's truth in that old myth, for the albatross truly is the eternal traveler, a symbol of endurance and mystery. Your survival is not just in your flight, but in your unbreakable bond with the Earth's breath. The wind that has carried life sits the beginning of time. When you grow old, your feathers worn from countless journeys, you may still glide with the same silent majesty, tracing circles over the sea as you always have. You have known every shade of the ocean, every kind of sky. The wind, once your challenge, has become your companion. Perhaps one day, when your strength finally fades, you will stop flapping and let the air take you one last time. You will drift down toward the waves, embraced by the same sea that raised you. And in that final moment, the wind will still move through your feathers, as if whispering, "You were never just a bird. You were the ocean's wanderer, the guardian of storms, the traveler who knew no borders. You were born not to conquer the world, but to move with it, endlessly, beautifully, without rest. To survive as an albatross is to surrender to the rhythm of the earth itself. You live not by resisting the wind, but by trusting it completely. You glide not to escape the sea, but to become part of its breath. And as you disappear into the horizon, the ocean keeps your secret, that survival for a creature like you was never about strength or speed. It was about faith in the unseen forces that carry you forward, the invisible currents that connect sky and water. The world remembers you, not for where you landed, but for how you moved between worlds. For in every gust of wind that crosses the ocean, a piece of your story still flies, boundless, eternal, and free.